Hello, my name is Mardi and welcome back to my channel. It's been 9 months since I've come back from Slovenia to Germany, and when I came back I thought I would not be getting too many new books, and guess what? I counted and I have 24 new books. I'm not proud of that because it's consumerism at its finest. I love my books, and a lot of them I got gifted or secondhand or found them even in the public library things. I think they're just called public libraries in English, where you can like put a book and get a book back. Oftentimes I don't actually put a book because they're always full, but I will sometimes find books that I like and take them with me. I would like to give some of my old books into one of those public libraries though, once I find one where there's a little bit of space left. But that's a story for another day. So essentially what I want to say is you don't need to own any books of your own if you want to read. These days I've gotten better at not wanting to buy every single book there is, but we're getting to that because you will see some of these are entirely new and then some of these are actually not. We are going to start with the fiction books and then continue with the non-fiction books. I'm only going to show you 22 of the books because one got lost and one is well, that's more private. So before we start, just so you know, the way I get books is I look at the spine. If I like it, I will pull it out. I look at the front. If I like it, I look at the back. Yes, that is very superficial, but I think we should judge books by their covers, because a lot of work goes into the covers. Sometimes if I like the title, I will ignore the cover. And then I will read the back, and if I like it, I will buy the book. And then immediately forget what it said on the blurb on the back. So I have no clue for most of these what these books are about. I will not be able to tell you much about them. The good thing is I'm always surprised by the books I have. So let's just start with this one. I got this from one of these public libraries that a cafe close to us has, and it's a French one. And this is Les Égarements. Oh god, my French isn't good. Les Égarements du cœur et de l'esprit. Oh, how do you say that in English? The something of the heart and the mind, the or spirit. I will give you a better translation here. I find it weird to translate French books into English because neither are my first language. I remember that this is some form of classic, I think, question mark. It's definitely an older book. I would translate this to you, but no. So let me just see what it says on the back. So it's about love. Wow. I have no clue what this book is about. Someone falls in love with the friend of his mother. I mostly got this because I want to keep up with my French, and I will take any free French text that I can get, I will take, because that helps quite a lot. It helps so much to read books in your foreign languages. Okay, next one is a little more well known. It's A Little Life by Hanya Yang. Once more, I should really start looking up the names of authors. Hanya Yanagihara. Yanagihara. As far as I know, this book is about a group of friends who we follow them throughout their life, and there seems to be also some queer love story, but I've heard that it's quite toxic as well. I've also heard people cry at the end of the book. I've never cried at books. I don't cry at media, also not at films or whatever, or video games. I don't cry a lot just in life. So I don't know if I doubt that it will touch me that much because it doesn't really happen often or ever. But I'm very excited for the story. I love stories about friendship specifically, and also about toxic friendships or friendships ending. I don't know, I think friendship can lead to a very specific kind of heartbreak that you don't see often in books, and I think it's important to depict that. And also I'm excited to see what they actually mean with toxic friendship, because as far as I've seen, people either really love this or they absolutely hate it, depending on their reading of the story, of the interpretation. and I'm excited to see what my interpretation is going to be. I've been thinking about just doing this in one vlog, and to give you my thoughts in detail, because so many people have weighed in on this book, and I don't think that my thoughts will be revolutionary to that whole discussion, but I think that a book that is already well discussed is always an interesting point to discuss further, because everyone who reads books has their own idea of what the book is really about, and of like their own interpretation of the book, and I think it's so interesting to compare how people read things. The next one is, I got this in Berlin. I have to be quite honest, I never heard of this before, but there was this LGBTQ plus like stand, and they had like half of it was gay romance stories and the other half was lesbian romance stories, and I don't know a lot of sapphic romance. It's really hard to find any. This one, called Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, as far as I can see, it follows a woman in 18th century or something, and she is, well, in a, not like in a kinda unhappy marriage. It's honestly just a marriage where not a lot happens. They've been married for like 10 years, and she doesn't have a child. She feels like she's failed somehow. Then her husband and her go to their estate outside of London. I think they start in London and then they go to an estate outside of London, and they meet Camilla. And then Camilla, there's a lot of things like weird about her. She seems to be, what does it say? It says, who is weak and pale during the day but vibrant at night. Camilla, who stirs up something deep within Leonore. And Leonore being the main character woman that I just told you about. Apparently, this is a retelling of the book Camilla by whoever the author is, and Camilla was apparently an inspiration for Dracula. I have read Dracula, I have not read Camilla. I don't know if you should read Camilla before reading this, but I was so excited to find a sapphic love story that's more than just, well, I mean, I love my contemporary romance as well, but just a love story that also has this kind of scary, dark horror element. I thought about waiting until October to read this, but right now I have a little bit more time for reading, and honestly I kind of want to read it as soon as possible. So yeah. The next book is a German book by Rebecca Gablé, who's my favorite German author, and definitely one of my favorite authors overall. She writes historical fiction, and this is Das Zweite Königreich, which in English would be The Second Kingdom. I don't know if this one was translated into English. Most of her books are not, I think. Essentially what Gablé does with all her books is she will invent a fictional character, most of the time, with some exceptions, and then follow that character, and this character then will follow important historical events and persons. So this one, there's Caedmon, and Caedmon, well, he's got an early end to childhood because of a pirate attack, and that makes him disabled. And somehow he then also gets entangled with Wilhelm the Conqueror and follows him to England, most likely. Something. This one I got in England, in London, technically, when I was there with a friend. It's called The Witchwood Crown by Ted Williams. I have no clue what this is about. I'm not gonna get into it. I know that when I read the back in England, I was like, this sounds good, and then took it with me. You're just gonna have to deal with not knowing either. We have another one by Rebecca Gablé. I got this also secondhand at the same, it was kind of a secondhand market where a friend and I went, and this is called Hiobsbrüder. No clue what this is about. It's probably similar, like we will follow some invented figure going through history. When is this set? This is set in the middle of the 12th century. Oh, we find something about a martyr king, a murderer, and someone who's really good at remembering. No, someone who's got amnesia. Interesting. Yeah, I got this because I like the author. Like, as long as I don't have the book already, I will get any book I can get my hands on by her, because she's really good. Next one, The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Once more, I saw this, it sounded good, I saw a lot of people on YouTube talking about it for a while. I think it's about some form of vagabond, like some form of, is it a heist book actually? I don't think it's a heist. It is about the underworld city of a fantasy place, but I have to be quite honest, I have no clue if there's even like what even the fantasy element is to this, except for the place. I I buy books without knowing what they're about, and I know that a lot of booktubers who usually have or seem to have a similar taste as I do liked it a lot, and that's just why I got it, honestly. The next one is one that I can actually tell you a lot about because I already get it. It's With Music Reform by Roxana Huber. It's the second installment in her series that follows this boy band group who then one after the other will probably fall in love, I'm assuming, because she writes romance, so that's what she does. And in this one, this is the second one, as I said, and in this one we follow, I think his name is Rowan. Yes, Rowan, who's more the broody, the broody type, you know, the bad boy of the band maybe. And the other character that we follow is Ember, who somehow managed to become the pre-gig, like the pre-act of the Europe tour that this boy band goes on. And she does not get along with Rowan. To be fair, she also kind of does a lot of things where I'm like, yeah, obviously he won't like it. The first time he sees her is when she's late for their tour. Like, you can't just be late for your job, especially since it's like this huge opportunity that she really wants to have, and she's just late. And then they don't get on at first, and then obviously throughout the story they do. Rowan is also under a lot of pressure because he's supposed to write new songs. And then Ember is also looking for her father, who she just doesn't know who it is. And there's also a lot of background story in this, and that's what I really enjoy. There's a lot of things happening outside of the romance. All of the background characters also have their own problems to deal with. It feels very real. The next one is a book that has been recommended to me so many times by a specific friend of mine from university. Wishes by V.E. Schwab. Technically she just recommended to me V.E. Schwab because the only book I read by that author so far is, what's it called? The Eddie LaRue one. The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, is that the book? It wasn't really my thing. It wasn't, I don't know, I didn't hit it off with that book. But my friend told me that the other books are quite different, and I've been told, like, I've seen that being said on BookTube as well. And this one I know deals with two people who were friends, and then they became enemies. And that is one of these kind of friendship stories that I really like. You know, where it's like, we used to trust each other, but now we just don't. And I think they invented something together at university or something, and then they became enemies because of it. I'm not quite certain. It's very short. I think it's one of the shortest books I own that I haven't read. Like, it's only 340 pages, which is nothing. And then there's a second book in the series, and then that's kind of it. As far as I know, I don't think that the other series she has are connected to this. So I'm very excited for it. This seems like a quick read, honestly. It seems like I should be pretty fast with this. While we're talking about friends, and this is a theme for me in books, okay? I'm not the biggest romance reader. I will read it from time to time, and I will even enjoy it. But I just like the pictures of friendship way more. This is My Friends by Fredrik Backman. I know what this is about, kinda, because this is one of the newest books I have. Oh, my stomach just grumbled. I haven't eaten yet. I should eat lunch. Anyway, this book is about a woman who sees a photograph. I think it's like the thing that is on the cover, of these men, and it intrigues her so much that she then tries to find out what happened to these men. Not because she thinks that something special happened, but she just wants to meet the people in this picture. And then she finds out that these people are not actually friends anymore, and that something has happened. And that's kind of what it says in the back, I think. But as she gets closer to the painting's birthplace, Louisa learns that happy endings do not always take the form we expect. So I'm very excited for this because it sounds like it might give us maybe not a happy ending, essentially. Also, apparently it's not a picture but a painting that she sees. Whoops. I really like the cover, I have to say. I've never read anything by Frederick Backman. I know I think he at least used to be pretty big on BookTube. I don't know. Like, a lot of people, I've heard the name a lot. I just never read anything by him. As opposed to that, I've seen a lot by the following author, Hank Green. I've never read a book by him either, but I watch a lot of his videos on YouTube, especially the Ask Hank Anything. Essentially, Hank Green is the brother of John Green. Fun fact, apparently not everyone knows this. These two have a YouTube channel called Vlog Brothers. I think that's actually how they kind of started. And it's kind of funny because John Green is kind of this philosophy guy who, has a lot of very, very famous books. Among them, what I read Looking for Alaska for school. Didn't like it, I have to say. It wasn't really my kind of thing. The other one everyone seems to know is the one with the 2 cancer patients, but I don't know the name. It's something with stars. Something with stars, I think. And then Hank Green, not too long ago, also published his first book. He's more of a STEM science guy, I think. At least that's what he always talks about in his YouTube videos, and I really enjoy that. I am not a STEM science guy, but I really enjoy listening to other people talk about it. And apparently he wrote, I think he wrote 2 or 3 books by now. But this is a beautiful, foolish endeavor. And this is a novel, kind of science fiction-like. Essentially, I think some form of robots appear on Earth, and then there's this woman who interviews them, or who does something. So April May stumbles into Carl's path, giving them their name, becoming their advocate, and putting herself in the middle of an avalanche of conspiracy theories. But then she disappears. And her friends then try to find out what happened to her. Or maybe not, maybe, I think first the friends find a clue that maybe she's still around somewhere. And then they try to figure out what happened to her. It sounded very intriguing. I have nothing to compare the story to so far. It sounds like nothing I've read before. The next one is a book by Goethe. I don't actually know which of his works are in here. A friend of mine pointed it out to me while I was standing in front of one of these public libraries. It was printed in, I think, 1924 or something. It's very old, is what I'm saying. Yeah, 1924. And I was just standing in one of the public libraries, and with works by Goethe, who's a very famous German poet. And I just decided to take it with me because I like old books, and it's better at my home than just outside in a public library. I mean, these public libraries are actually kind of common these days in Germany. They are protected with like glass panes, and they aren't just outside in wind and rain and whatever. But still, I feel like it's better if it's just inside a house. And I love old books. I wish I could just collect them. My camera died because I forgot to recharge it. So now you're just standing. Like now my phone is standing on a pile of books, and that's not very stable. Let's hope. Yeah, my tripod, for some reason, I thought it had a phone setup as well. I don't know if it used to have one, but I wasn't able to locate it. So we're gonna work with this weird angle, and the light is very bright now from here. Because the thing is, my window is there, but my books are here, so it kind of makes sense filming here. I mean, I could film in front of the other bookshelves of the books that I've already read, but first of all, I have a lot of stuff standing around because I just moved. Well, I didn't even move back into this room. I moved into my brother's. There's a lot of household stuff that I have that just stands in front of those shelves. And also the lighting situation is really much better. And these shelves only go to like here because I have like the roof is right above me essentially. Anyway, we are going to continue like this now. I hope I think the microphone should be working though. Shout out to my friends who got me these little microphones for my phone, which are honestly better than the one I've got for my camera at this point. So the next one I have is also a German author. I think he's German actually. Yeah, the book is in German. I tried this summer, like a few months ago, to get some more German books because I feel like I've been falling out of my language, even though it's my mother tongue. And my English isn't really good either, or it's good, but it's not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes still, and Spanish and French as well. And I would like to be able to at least have one language that I have a C2 in and not the C1. That would be nice. And it's technically my mother tongue. So you would think that I would be able to read more in German, but I never read in German. I'm great at reading in German, just my German talking has gotten pretty bad. And I used to be really good at writing as well. I'm kinda not anymore. Anyway, long story short, I tried to get some more books in German. This is Markus Heitz, Die Legenden der Albar. I have no clue what this is about. There's some warrior guy on it. I think, yeah, it says that the Albar are dangerous, cruel, and they don't shy back from war. The enemies are afraid of them, and the slaves follow them without question. But the dark creatures hide un how do you say that word? Hide secrets no one knows, and their power isn't without end. The kingdom of the Albar is endangered, and the unequal warriors, Centaurs and Kafalor, get the task to win a powerful demon for their people. Well, and so on and so forth. There's some war going on. I think this is the first book in a series. I'm not quite sure though. The last fiction book before we go on with non-fiction is Gideon the Ninth. The Ninth? The Ninth. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I got this as a parting gift from my flatmate, so thanks to him. And I think it's a lesbian, a sapphic story, sapphic fantasy with necromancers and something like that. That's all I know. I'm very excited for some sapphic stories this year. Okay, let's continue with the non-fiction books. I have here another German one. It's Georg Zimmer, Philosophie des Geldes, or in English it would be Philosophy of Money. I got this in Berlin at a museum. I'm not really into finance. I'm not one of those finance guys. I might sometimes look like one though, but I'm not. And it's written in the 19th century, it says on the back, and it doesn't really say much more. Apparently, he wanted to find out what money economy means and the relationship between people and society and the institutions. It's one of those books where I know that I will find it really interesting, but I will need ages to finish it. Because, first of all, it's like 750 pages or something. And then, second of all, the way this is written is like in very tight margins and a very small font. And also, German language. I sometimes find it easier to read Old English books than German books because Old German, for some reason, it has changed so much since then, and Old English has changed a lot as well. But honestly, apart from like Shakespeare, maybe Old English is almost easier to understand, especially like 19th century English. But for some reason, German classics are just so much harder to read than English classics. Even books from like the 60s or 50s in Germany, they sound so different to how we talk these days. Anyway, so I will be reading this at some point in my life, but it will take me so long. Then we have a history book by Christopher Clark, Iron Kingdom, The Rise and Downfall of Prussia, 1600 to 1947. Prussia, in case you don't know, is, well, it used to be a state, and these days we think of Germany as one state, but Germany used to be a lot more. Like in, like, when was it? 300, 400 years ago, it was like thousands of states, and then at some point they managed to get to 37 states, like what we today would call Germany. This follows Prussia. Prussia used to be northeast of today's Germany, I think, and then they kind of took over a lot of land, if we're being honest. At some point, Bismarck, for example, was also Prussian. Bismarck, I think, is one of the more famous people from German history, even outside of Germany, because he is often credited with unifying Germany. Now, we could maybe argue about if historically Bismarck unified Germany or just wanted more power for Prussia and his king, because he's also often credited with introducing social reforms and things like social insurance, which is not entirely wrong, but he didn't really do it because he liked it. He did it because he wanted to keep down the Social Democratic Party that we still have today, and they had the idea of social insurances like health insurance, and Bismarck wanted to keep them down, and he was very much in favor of censorship and the monarchy. So yeah, Bismarck, interesting guy. That's why it says Prussia from 1600 to 1947, because in 1600s Prussia wasn't, like, Germany wasn't a thing, and then in 1947, obviously that's like after the Second World War. I'm assuming they will stop with the official proclamation of the German Federation or something like that. When was our basic law introduced? Was it 1947? Definitely 1947 was a very important date for Germany. Now I love history. I don't love what happened in history all the time. As a German, definitely we had some bad times, but I find it very interesting to see how history has shaped our modern society. Also, if you're wondering why I'm better at describing what happens in non-fiction books than in fiction books, it's kind of easier to just look at the title and know what they will be about. Except for the ones by Penguin. I love Penguin, first of all. Great publisher. But why do you not give me an actual blurb on the back of your orange books and just give me quotes? Like, tell me what they are about. And then I think on the inside it's also just quotes, like, about the author. Well, that's nice to know who the author is. But that's never like really an explanation of what the book is about, unless I just don't find it. Anyway, in this case, I know it's about economics. It's called Growth, A Reckoning by Daniel Süskind. Oh, there's something on it. I don't know what I got on it. I don't take the best care of my books, because in the end they are objects to be used. It is about economics. I'm not sure if he talks about how we can continue to grow, or if he talks about how growth is a concept that maybe is not even attainable forever. What does it say about the author? Does it say about the author what his opinion is? Well, we will find out at some point. At the same day I got the Growth book, I also got The Road to Conscious Machines, The Story of AI by Michael Wooldridge. As far as I remember, this one actually tells the story of how we developed AI, and also of all the roads that did not work out, of all the things that we essentially tried before and just didn't work. I'm very interested in technology. My master's will focus a little bit more on technology policy than my bachelor's did. So I decided that I want to accumulate a little bit of knowledge about technology beforehand, because while I am interested, I sometimes feel like I don't know a lot, which is probably just false, and it just feels like it because I read so much about it, and the more you read about something, the more you realize how little you actually know. But that's why I got some technology books in the past few years. I've known I wanted to focus more on that for a while. So apparently my microphone died, which, to be fair, I just hadn't charged it in a while. The thing is, I'm now doing a voiceover with some headsets, because while my laptop does recognize the microphones that I do have, for some reason my editing program does not. So I have to do it with my headphones. And also, I did not prepare this voiceover, so it's gonna be chaotic. Anyway, so I think what I was telling you here is that I am aware that a lot of the popular science books and also technology books are not up to date, because obviously publishing takes a long time, while technology develops very rapidly. So obviously the newest things can't be in a book that maybe was written like 2 years ago. I will be reading up on newer papers before I start my master's, but that's kinda what I was saying here. The next book, this one, I actually forgot to include in the fiction section, because this is a fiction book. If I remember correctly, this is Celsius by Mark Ellsberg. And the premise of the book is that in the US, they suddenly see some unknown flying objects. And at first, they think they're being attacked by China, because obviously, if it isn't Russia, it has to be China. And then a climate scientist
realizes that while it is China, they're not actually going straight to war, but they're trying to control the climate. I thought this was a very interesting premise because, as far as I know, we cannot control the climate quite yet. We are not able to just stop climate change at the moment. I mean, obviously. I thought the idea of gaining power over something like natural or supernatural. Supernatural is not the correct term for this, but about something that humans have never been able to even imagine controlling, to now gain the power to control this was a very interesting idea. It's almost like a new resource being discovered. Yeah, I'm only putting the book down. Apparently, I had more thoughts now than I did in the video. Oh, I looked in the book again. I definitely told you that I have already read Helix by the same author, which was about gene modification, and it was really interesting. It was kind of a political thriller, which I'm assuming this one will be as well. The next book is Das Brot der frühen Jahre by Heinrich Böll. In English, it's The Bread of Those Early Years. I did look up this book because the back of the book only tells you that the author uses bread as a metaphor, which doesn't help at all. Apparently, it is a fiction book, which means it's in the wrong section of the video, but we're gonna deal with it anyway. It follows a young man in post World War II Germany who comes into a city after having gone through a lot. He's seen extreme hunger, he's seen a world war. He seems to be kind of hopeless until he meets a woman that he already knows. Like, he re-meets her in the city that he moves to. I don't know much more, except that I think that using bread as a metaphor or a symbol is the most German thing you can literally do. Because what do you mean? This author decided to use bread, which has been, I mean, I understand why it is a symbol for post World War II, obviously, because of, you know, hunger and the extreme poverty. But it's also a very German symbol to use, considering we have like over 3,000 classified types of bread, and they have been like officially classified by an official authority. Okay, the next one is How Democracies Die by, I don't know the authors. I will put them on screen as well. This book I technically already read in parts. I had to use some of it for university. I think it was only 2 pages that I actually needed, but then I got into it and I read almost everything. I think I only didn't read like 2 chapters. And it's really interesting. It's one of those basic books that everyone in political sciences has come across at some point. It's being referenced in so many works, even to this day, where they will take the title and change it slightly, like How XY Die or whatever. And then also it's still used for citations a lot because it's such a staple or it seems to be in my eyes, such a staple in the social sciences and especially political sciences that you just stumble over it all the time. So I decided I wanted to have a copy myself. I would like to build up a library of political science books, like the basic books that you kinda always stumble across in the space of political sciences for myself, because that will be very relevant to my future and will be very relevant to my work one day, hopefully, because that's what I want to do. And I think it's a good idea to have like a basic library of these things. So, as it turns out, I forgot about one book that I got from friends on Christmas, Grey's Anatomy by Henry Gray, FRS, whatever FRS stands for. And the drawings are by H.V. Carter, medical doctor. I always want to say medical detective. This is just a book about anatomy. The TV series Grey's Anatomy, I think they took the name and it's just a pun. I never saw the series. There might be a Dr. Gray in that one. Maybe that's the pun because they write it differently. This book, though, has beautiful edges and also some drawings inside. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned in bypassing to a friend of mine in London that I've wanted to get this for years, and I just never do, because for some reason there are loads of books where I'm like, I should really get this, and then whenever I do go out and buy books, I never get the books that have been on my list for years.
So she somehow remembered that. And then I got it from another friend and her. Funnily, the same two friends who also got me these microphones. They're good at gift giving. So after that little interlude, these were all the books I got since I moved back to Germany. Technically, I'm still waiting for a book by Camus. I think it's called The Myth of Sisyphus or something. And once again, I will put the correct title and name in the video because I am so bad at remembering titles and names of books and authors. I seem to be rambling on in the rest of the video. I don't know what I was saying. The only thing I can still add is that I don't think that having these many unread books is honestly necessary. I like having a huge selection of books I can read, but I think at this point I have like 90 unread books, and I don't like the gate I'm going. I will have finished these 90 books in like 10 years, maybe 8 or 7 years. Right now it seems like I will be moving to England in September, and I will only be able to take like 1 or 2 books with me, so there's no way I can read all of these. I should use the library more often. I don't even have a card at the moment, but I will start using the library in England. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'm glad you were here even though it was so chaotic, and I will see you very soon. Every time I do these thumbnail things, that just happens.